Good evening, my friends, and you are my friends, and welcome back to Talking Town. I'm joined tonight by the milk tray man, Ben Adams. How was Harry Potter World, firstly?
Harry Potter World, I watched one half of one film, and as far as I could deduce, it was a bunch of children waving sticks at stuff. So although the day was wonderful because I spent it with family, everything around that was, I don't understand what's going on, but it was a lovely day out with people I love. So
did you get to watch the town game, Ben?
I did. I watched it. We were driving back from Watford, and I got my pregnant wife to drive the car home as I watched it on my mobile phone. So that's a dedicated fan and terrible husband I am. So yes.
Who said romance is dead, eh? Anyway, the Gov's not very well, everybody. He's in the background. He's pressing the buttons and making us all look good. So me and Ben are here tonight. The chat is really, really lively. I don't know if Gov's going to put a link in. Possibly, I don't know, but if you want any questions for our guest, pop them in the chat. We'll get them up on the screen, and we'll probably do, I think, 60 minutes, Ben. I think we're going to do maybe or try.
Yeah.
But this is a little bit different for Talking Town. You know, we've had ex-players on, and it's really good tonight to sort of get into the background. You know, Jason's coming on. He's part of the PRS Trust. You know, the pension fund, and it'll be just good to get him on. Talk a bit of football or soccer, as he calls it, Ben, and just get his backstory. And obviously, look, he's got a great story. He's got a book out. He can plug the book. But I'll let you introduce him. How do we say Jason's surname? Because
we said we would completely and utterly butcher it, but perhaps it's best to let straight from the horse's mouth. Let Jason's for the perfect pronunciation with the perfect cadences. We're gonna destroy it.
Welcome to Talking Town, Jason Schechterle.
I do want to just sit here and listen to you guys say my name for a little while.
All right. How did I get on?
It's Schechterle.
Schechterle.
There you go. He did tell me that everyone about 5 minutes ago, and I was trying to. It's going around in my brain. How do I pronounce it?
So it's a long German name that nobody can pronounce, so don't worry about it.
Whereabouts are you at the minute? Are you back here in Arizona?
I am home in Phoenix, Arizona. Yes.
What is the weather report? Is it midday?
It is. It's 11 a.m. and it's going to be about 100 and I don't even know what today. And, you know, the best news is, as you can tell by the background, I'm sitting not in an office where I would like to be. Our air conditioning went out.
Oh, no.
And today's Sunday, so we're waiting on it to get fixed. It's miserable. So always some kind of adversity to overcome, but I'm sitting here and it's nice and warm outside. Not quite what I experienced when I was in Ipswich.
Well, yeah, we've had unseasonably hot weather. It's been in the kind of the 80s and 90s, and it's like the whole country goes absolutely insane because we're not a culture that's kind of built on air conditioning. I've been to America. I spent years in America. You walk into any building, it's that wonderful cool wave. Here, you walk into a building, it actually gets warmer. So it's a very different kind of culture of dealing with absolutely scorching weather. But anything over 100, Jesus, man.
We are absolutely obsessed in the UK, Jason, with talking about the weather. Whatever the weather is like, we're obsessed. It's either too hot, it's too cold, there's too much rain, there's not enough rain. It's like that anything.
You want to make friends with an English person you've never spoken to before, ask him about the weather. You'll have a friend for half an hour. And a really deep friend as well, actually. It goes everywhere. It's brilliant.
That's a good tip. As soon as I come back, that's what I'm going to do.
Anyway, look, we thought we'd get you on because you obviously came over. You were over for the game, the Bolton game. You were over the week before. We'll just start there, Jason. How did you find it coming over to town? Just tell us about your trip.
I'll tell you, I've not stopped thinking about it since I returned home. And I was sharing with some friends the other night. I said, you know, the backstory on this, I was supposed to come last October. And then COVID intervened, like it has in all of our lives in some way. Sure. And then it was possibly February, and then there were some changes with the club. And so Mark Ashton asked me to come when I did at the end of July. So I had a lot of time to think about this trip. And I'd never been to the UK, never been to London, never even heard of Ipswich. And, so I'm looking at the map and things like that. And yeah, I'm almost 50 years old. I've gotten to do a lot of things in life, especially sports related. I'm very blessed. But I was sharing with a couple of my friends the other night. I said, I've only done two things in my whole life that no matter what you daydream or fantasize they're going to be like, they're better. And one was I went to the Masters in 2005 because I'm a huge golf guy. And then my trip to the UK. It just, I don't even know if I fully processed it yet. It was so good from the moment I landed right up until the day I left. I just loved every single minute of it, and I can't wait to get back.
Well, it kind of sounds like you had.
By the way, Jason, quickly. Who's your favourite golfer? Tiger?
Who's my favorite golfer? Yeah, I mean, it's got to be Tiger Woods. I grew up, I still love Fred Couples. I've gotten to meet him several times, and there's actually a picture of him and I together on a golf course in my book. But, I love I just love watching golf. I love pro golf. A lot of good guys, a lot of good characters. So they're fun to watch every weekend.
You play?
You were saying you come over to here. You kind of had no idea who Ipswich was. You kind of never really heard of the area. Didn't really know too much, certainly about the league we're in. I imagine America knows a bit about the big teams, the Man Uniteds or the Man Cities, but the kind of down where we are, that kind of comparatively local level, it kind of sounds like you came here with like no expectations of what to expect, but actually kind of what you found was something sounds quite awesome, but it kind of exceeded any expectations you might have had.
It did. And thankfully I came with one of my best friends who is a huge football fan, and he knows a lot. He grew up, I think his first 12 years in Australia, and he had been to London before, and he's thrown out and talking about the new manager, Kieran, and all this stuff, and trying to educate me a little bit. But still, like when I first got some of the emails, and they were like, you're going to be coming to Portman Road. I'm like, well, is there like a building number or something? And they're laughing. They're like, no, Portman Road's to the stadium. I'm like, okay. So I truly knew nothing, but that's what made it even better, because once I got there, I got to really soak in and let it all just unfold right in front of me.
You actually at the home match, were you?
Was I at the home match?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was. Again, because I did. So I flew in 2 weeks ago, and then I was with the team. I did some presentations to the staff, and then I did a presentation to the first team, and then the next day on Thursday, I did the academy players, the younger team, and the women's team. And then went down to London, got to do sightseeing, right? I've never been there. So, and London is amazing. I was, I'm trying to tell my friends, I said, this is the smallest capital in the world. It's like 1.12 square miles. And it would take me 2 weeks to see everything. It's mind boggling. I live in the 5th largest city in America, and it's huge. And London was, London. So I spent 2 days in London, and caught the train back up to Ipswich, walked down to Portman Road, and then, that's when you really see it, and you start to feel the energy and just what it means to be a football fan over there. And of course, because I had spoken to the team, and they were just some of the greatest people I've ever been around, the whole staff. But I got a lot of behind the scenes. I got to go on the pitch before the game, which, that's an incredible feeling to see the stands empty, but then to watch them fill up and to hear the crowd. And I sat with Mark Ashton and Mark Steed right above the players. And I truly experienced a sporting event unlike anything I've ever seen or felt emotionally. It was incredible.
Wow.
See, this is what I like, Ben, now. Like you say that we're all one club now, Jason. You know, we've got, like you said, you see the first team, the under-18s, the younger players, the women. You know, just talk us a little bit about, if you don't mind, sort of what you've been through in your life to get here today.
Okay. Yeah, I just had your basic background, childhood. I was born and raised here in Phoenix, and grew up playing all the sports. I played basketball, baseball, soccer as a little kid, and then was pretty good at golf growing up. Spent most of my focus on that, and then went to join the United States military. Came home from that. I met my wife. We got married, had a couple of kids, and then I had a really good job, working on power lines, doing the electricity and an important job, obviously, in this heat. And I'm sitting here without air conditioning right now, so I know how important those guys are. And then one day we had one of our officers get shot and killed in the line of duty, and it completely changed my life. It just made me understand I needed to do that job. And so I was 26 years old at the time, and went on the journey to becoming a Phoenix police officer. Loved the job so much, and only did it for a little over a year. And then I was involved in my own critical incident, which is, it's chronicled in my book, Burning Shield. But, the basic timeline is it was late at night, about 11:30 p.m., and I was on my way to an emergency call, had my lights and siren on, and I stopped at a red light to make sure that people could see me would yield to my emergency vehicle, not run into me. Well, and then somebody ran into me from behind, but he was doing, and I wish I could, I'm not very good at changing miles per hour to kilometers per hour, but 115 miles an hour is incredibly fast. I mean, it's a 40 mile an hour downtown city street, and I got hit. Wow. It caused my car to burst into flames. I was knocked unconscious, so I was trapped inside. And then had a lot of miracles, though. I had a fire truck in the intersection, which is hard to even believe that the timing of that and the individuals that were on that truck able to go to work for me. I was 2 miles away from one of the best burn centers in the entire United States, and they got me down there very quick. I was not expected to survive. They told my wife and my parents, Jason's not going to live, and they got me into surgery and started the process. And it was a long process. I mean, I could talk for days about this. I spent 2.5 months in a coma. I spent 5 months total in the hospital. I spent 9 months completely blind. And then, of course, you go through the whole trying to reacclimate to life. I'm not the husband I used to be. I'm not the father I used to be. I couldn't return to work at the time. And I had to really battle a lot of adversity emotionally and obviously physically. I mean, how I look today, compared to 20 years ago, I could win a beauty contest. I've had 56 surgeries to get to where I'm at today. I lost half my fingers to amputation. My hands are very deformed. So I had to relearn. At first I wanted to learn the little things, like how am I going to do things for my kids? And then it was, well, how am I going to drive again if I get my eyesight back? How am I going to return to work? How am I going to shoot a gun? How am I ever going to play golf again? And a lot of it was I'm not, and a lot of it was yes I am, and it was back and forth. And I had an incredible support system. My wife is amazing, and we went on to have a third child 18 months after my accident, which really things like that will really push you forward and strengthen you. I got to carry the Olympic torch. I got to throw out the first pitch at an Arizona Diamondbacks game. I got to do these little things that just kept inspiring me and moving me forward. And I did end up returning to work, and ended up being a homicide detective. Did that for a few years, and then finally, the doctors have done an amazing job, not only saving my life, but to help me, through get stronger, start to get my eyesight back where I am doing things like driving to and from work. I learned how to shoot a gun again. And even with, my eyesight in my hands, but I 5.5 years after the accident, I retired. And then it was kind of like, well, what do I do now? All I know is, I don't have a college degree. I was in the military and I was a cop. What am I going to do? And I went into business for myself for a little while, and that was going really well. I was just being Jason, coming home to my family every night. And then I did give a presentation. I did share my story, and I did not know how to share my story. I didn't know how to be what you call a public speaker, but I had a gentleman there who, said to me that my story changed his life, and it was my next aha moment, saying, okay, this is what I have to do. And I set out to become, the best public speaker that I could. And then as my story developed over the years, I do it. It's my full-time job. I do anywhere, before COVID, I was probably doing 75 a year, and now we're working back up to that. And then here I am today, getting to talk to you guys because of the beautiful opportunity being involved with PSPRS, which, for those of you who don't know, that is my retirement system that I'm on. It's the public safety, the police retirement system here in Phoenix and in Arizona. And so Mark Steed is our chief financial officer, and obviously very involved, very, very smart individual, and has the connections, and somehow him and Mark Ashley got hooked up, and now here we all are, connected and fans of Ipswich Town.
It's actually quite something, Jason, that when I knew I had the opportunity and the absolute, well, quite frankly, a privilege to talk to you, I've done a bit of research. I've watched everything I can get my hands on online. I've read everything I can, and not more than once has brought a tear to my eye. I'll be honest with you. Even kind of listening a bit today, and one of the things that really jumped out of me of everything I read and heard was something about, you don't immediately accept. You don't say, well, this is the hand I've been dealt, therefore I'm okay with it. It was something about, you had to experience the pain. You had to be angry and pissed off. And I remember you saying about you sort of get shouting for people to get out of your room. Yeah. So it was almost kind of like you had to express how you felt in that moment, like it was the door you had to walk through to kind of get to where you are now. Have I kind of understood that correctly?
Yeah, you did, for sure. The way, it doesn't matter what we believe in, the way we're made as human beings, and all of our timelines are going to be different, those things. But yeah, I had a lot of dark days, not only being blind, which, when I was completely blind, it's the most terrifying claustrophobic thing I'd ever experienced. And then there were times I didn't want to talk, or there were times that I yelled and cussed at people who were just wanting to love and support me. And I mean, I shed more tears. I experienced more pain. And I remember coming home from the hospital after 5 months, and there were days I was just, maybe I didn't want to go to therapy. I was angry. I was sad. I was scared. Yeah. And, my wife and I, she had stuck by me through all that, and we'd get in a fight about that. That's what people don't see behind the scenes. But you have to go on a journey, and your journey is different than somebody else's, right? And, I don't think anybody should ever say, this is your timeline, this is how long it's going to take. I don't know. I remember hearing a story on the news when I was laying in the hospital bed. Again, I'm blind, and they're talking about me. My story was on the news a lot because I was a police officer and it was in the line of duty. And, I'm like pretty new into this and trying to understand what was going on. And they said, Jason is facing 10 years of surgery and recovery. And I'm thinking, 10 years? What is that? And what did that do? Just caused me a bunch of anxiety and fear. I'm like, 10 years is a long time. But then for me, it was just nonstop. Something good would happen. Something that made me feel a little stronger after therapy. Something that did work when I had a surgery. And then to still be a dad. Nothing means more to me than being a dad. And I had two kids. I had a daughter and a son. And that was, they had a pretty difficult time on their own. They were young, 7 and 3. And
that's
now,
young.
It is very young to go through that.
To get your head around it is this journey you're going on as an adult who's done everything you've done. You've, the military, police, you've experienced things, you've lived things, but you're kind of thinking, children who've kind of not been through that, they just kind of experience what's in front of them, and it sounds difficult.
And the innocence of a child, they can't understand. They just see that, all of a sudden I was gone for 5 months, then I come home and I looked, in the eyes of a child, I looked like a monster. And my youngest son, he was so young. He was 2 when I got hurt. He turned 3 while I was in a coma. And, he didn't even believe I was his father at first. And but then, we did have our 3rd child, and and then doing very inspirational things like carrying the Olympic torch or things like that, and returning to work. I just kept being able to move forward. And finally, there came a time where I knew I was going to be okay. People who were supporting and loving of me knew I was going to be okay. And then it was just a matter of, like anybody, you just continue to try to get better. And, I have my ups and downs, and still have my internal, but my adversity today is not the burns from 21 years ago. It's, it's a whole lot different as I get older, and my kids have grown up, and I worry about them, and I see what they're doing and going through. You have to go on a journey within yourself. And that's what I encourage people, is to allow yourself. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to take a couple hours and say, you know what? I need to be alone right now. And then find something to get you back on path.
Sitting here, listening to Jason, I'm getting goosebumps. This is absolute. Everyone in the chat, is giving you so much love, Jason. This is absolutely incredible. And your mind, Ben, is. I work a lot on my own, doing my job. I work with people, but a lot on my own. And when you're on your own and you're thinking about things, and it's just human nature, isn't it? Your mind plays a lot of tricks on you, but your mental strength, Jason, is absolutely, I find it absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it's very rarely I'm actually quite lost for words. Total disclosure, I've got a page of questions in front of me, and I don't even know where to go with it, to be quite frank. What really jumped out at me there was just something about the people that were around you. So I know you talk a lot, and you just did about like a really fantastic wife, and she sounds really awesome, and love being a dad. And it was kind of the moments when you would have had every justifiable reason to not do the things that you've done, but you did them. And it was about a support around you, about the reaching out, that it's okay to kind of lean on other people sometimes. You don't have to be a superhero every minute. You don't have to always be strong. It kind of sounds like that was really important to you, the relationships in your lives.
Well, you know what, you just nailed it right there. That is everything. The word vulnerability is not something we want to say out loud. It's not something we want to feel. So true. And I could have never imagined being as vulnerable as I was. But when you let people fight for you when you can't fight for yourself, there's no more strength and beauty that you'll ever find than inside of vulnerability. And I was reduced down to nothing. I reduced down to, I can't walk, I can't talk, I can't eat food, I can't let alone, be the dad I want to be, or go back to work, provide for my family. I was reduced to nothing. And then as I've grown, my wife, and I still lean on her a lot for everything. I do love being a dad. And, back to your point about our thoughts, we are alone. When you close your eyes, lay your head down on the pillow at night, I don't care who you're sleeping next to, you are alone with your thoughts. And it's a dangerous place to be. And we're stuck there all the time. So, I do. My thoughts are ping-ponging back and forth from good to bad to positive to negative. And I always have to find something that, what's next, what's tomorrow.
Sustains you.
And
there's such that do you know what? I love that point, because what I'm not hearing, and I'm kind of glad that almost that you're not saying it, which is I went through this, I done everything I could, I'm here now, and the problems are solved. I'm strong, I can do everything I want to. You're saying now, after everything you have done, after every bloody battle you've had to fight, at every level of pain and endurance and things that I think that would happen to most people in their nightmares, that you can still give yourself permission to have really shitty days sometimes. You can still go to that dark place. It's kind of okay to still access those feelings if you need to.
Well, the adversity is never going to stop, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to go through a lot of adversities and challenges and tragedies, but that's only if you're lucky enough to live a nice long life. So, I give the example, it's unbelievable, but my accident was on March 26th of 2001. On my 16th anniversary, my dad, who I just love so much, we played golf together all the time, he died of cancer on that day. And I remember, being with him and holding his hand, and of course I'm crying, and he was only 75, which I found out was pretty young. When you see somebody lose their life, you realize that age is just a number. But I also was filled with gratitude that I had him for 44 years. My wife lost her dad when she was 9 years old. And so, we all have our own story, and it's going hopefully to continue for a long time, but you have to turn every page, you have to read every line, and you have to go on to the next chapter. And there's going to be some that we don't like. There's going to be some we want to get out of, and then there's going to be some that you don't want to. You want to stay right there. You want to hold on to it for as long as you can. Yeah. But you got to give yourself permission to feel whatever you're feeling and go through what you're going through, or else when the next thing comes, if you haven't gotten over this one, then you're not prepared. Yeah. So,
so that kind of feeling in the moment and accepting how you are, it kind of almost, I kind of work in images. People who know me know this, but it's almost like the door you have to walk through. It's like if there's a room you can stand in where you can be at peace or with acceptance, there's a price you have to pay, which you have to kind of walk through the doorway of pain almost. And if you don't walk through that doorway, you can't experience what's on the other side of it. You have to walk through that doorway, and no one said it's easy.
That's exactly right. But here's the key to that. Once you walk through that door, once you make it through it and you close it, don't turn around and run face first back into the door that you've already closed. Keep going forward to the next one. And, of course I could, and I'm not going to disrespect anybody who's gone through really tough times and maybe has these feelings, but for me to walk around and saying, if something bad is happening to me today, to say, why is this happening? I already went through so much. I got burned. I'm disfigured, and I could say all those things, but I'm always of the mindset that everything that's happened to me in life, good and bad, are because of choices that I made, and I'm going to take accountability for that. I don't even blame the guy who hit me. I made a lot of choices over like a 10-year period of life that's the reason I caught on fire. That's the reason I was in a hospital. That's the reason I went through what I did. And then fast forward to today, all my adversity, again, these are all my choices, good and bad choices that I have to be accountable for and try to deal with. But, you go through that door, hopefully you close it, and don't turn around and run back into it.
So there's something about it's not what happens to us. It's kind of what your reaction is to the thing that happened is kind of what I'm picking.
Yes, I say, and that's exactly how I, during about the last 5 minutes of my speeches, I say life is 10% what happens to you. It's 90% how you react to it. And you're always in control of your attitude. You're always going to be able to choose how you feel and respond to all situations, all people.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the key to know is you're not always going to win those battles. You're not always going to be.
Wouldn't it be great if we could, eh? Jesus. Wouldn't it be fantastic if you could win the battles you fight all the time?
Wouldn't it be great? But we can't. And the acceptance of that is also very important. You're not always going to be the best version of yourself. But when I wake up tomorrow, as soon as I draw that first breath, I got to know this is my day to be better than I was yesterday. So let's find a way to do that. Let's find a way to leave today better than we found it. And that's what just keeps you going and going and looking forward to, what's next that's going to be good. If I can get through the bad, but I want to see what good is coming.
I love that. That's almost like I'm not going to compare myself to perhaps others who might have been in something comparable or who perhaps didn't pull through the way I did. There's no reconciliation of the soul in comparison, but there's something about if I'm going to compare myself to anything, I'm going to compare myself to who I was yesterday.
Exactly.
You can't lose.
That's your only competition. You are not in competition with anybody else except who you were yesterday or last year. You're not in competition with somebody else down the street or somebody who might think they have it better than you or worse than you. That is futile, and it's a waste of your energy. It's exhausting to do that. Yeah. But if you stay in competition with yourself, because we only get to be us, right? I don't get to be you guys. You don't get to be me. And there's an old saying, I don't know if you guys have heard it, but get a group of people and say, throw every problem you have into the middle of the table. And then you get to choose which ones you're gonna take back. And guaranteed, every person will take their own back because they know how to handle them and they know who they are. So don't ever forget who you are.
I'm gonna that. Do you know what that? I think you've just cost me a night's sleep thinking about that, because that's going to be going through my brain at 3 a.m. tonight. That's wonderful, and it's so true. Oh, it's so true. Oh, just truth bombs. Oh my God, so true.
We got loads of comments here coming in. Lee Bayliss, Jason is an inspiration to us all. Well done, sir. Jason Fist, watching this with my wife, and we both agree what an amazing man he is. There's so much love coming in for you, and I'm sitting here. I've normally Ben will back me up here, Jace. I've normally got quite a lot to say, haven't I, Ben? Tonight,
on occasion, yes.
I just want to be quiet, and I just want to listen to you talk.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate you giving me this platform, and ever since I've gotten back from Ipswich, I have had more social media contact. I have had more kind words. I cannot express to you just how incredible people in England are. And, when I went over there, I'll admit I was a little nervous. I'm like, is my appearance going to be a little too distracting? Is it going to be a little too much? And, I'm out there doing everything. I'm touring London. I'm on trains. I'm going into pubs to. You're
lucky there's been a rail strike. You're lucky you come on a day when the trains were running, because I've.
Well, I think I was there for one of the rail strikes. I was a little nervous, but I'll tell you what, I would have ran all the way back to Ipswich for that game.
Welcome to England.
So that wouldn't have been an issue. But the people were so incredibly kind. From the minute I got there, from the people in the airport to the people at the hotel, every pub, restaurant I went into, every tourist thing I did, and then of course the fans of the football club are just. I've never experienced what I experienced before, during, and after that game. It just the range of emotions, and all positive, was stunning to me. And
what were your emotions? I'm really intrigued. Like, what were they for you? Like, I'm really interested in how you experienced that. Like, what were they? I'll get quite excited asking you, actually.
Well, I consider myself, I'm so blessed and lucky, and I'm a fan just as much as anybody, and I'm learning about a game that I don't know that much about, because unfortunately it's not that big here. And I remember, and I don't know if you guys remember this, but I remember in 1999 when our women won the World Cup here in America, and Brandy Chastain ripped off her shirt, kind of like the England team did last week when they beat Germany, which was awesome. But I thought, all right, well, maybe it'll catch on.
Hang on, Jason. Ben is actually German.
I'm half German.
Okay. So who are you rooting for? I'm glad.
In that, I've always got a rule. I was rooting for football. That's it.
Well, so I'm trying to learn about this game, and what really was beautiful for me is I got to be at Portman Road during the week. I was there watching the people work and setting up things. I mean, I'm watching people, from the people who are washing the chairs and cleaning the stadium and watering the grass, mowing the grass, watering the grass, all day, every day. And then I'm with all the support staff all the way up to Mark Ashton, who is one of the most genuine, incredible people I've ever met. And then I got to speak to the team, and the reaction I got, the time I got to spend with them, taking pictures. And, we gave them, me and my friend, we brought, we have these challenge coins, as they're called over here, and they're very, very special to us. They're very important. And we passed the challenge coin out to each one of these players and told them, what it meant and to never let go of it. And, I'm getting pictures. Yesterday I was in New Mexico to give a speech, and I woke up early, over here, 8:00 was the start of the game. And, and I logged on, and I sat there alone. And oh my gosh, I'm yelling at Sammy, I'm yelling at Marcus and Wes, and all of a sudden I'm like, you're calling these guys by their first name, and I'm wondering what Kieran is thinking, because I got to know him, and you guys would laugh at me. Here's what a fan I am, and because my eyesight's not that great, right? I get done with my speech, and we were going to do some questions and answers, which is one of my favorite things to do, and I can't remember what made me do this, but I said, I called him a coach. It turns out he's a manager. I said, where's the coach of the team? Well, he was right there in the front row. He raised his hand. And I'm not kidding. I grabbed my heart. I said, holy shit, you're a big deal. I was completely caught off guard. He's a very big deal in the world of football. And I loved getting to know him and talk to him. And then, so by the time it came time for the game, I was just so excited to feel the energy and the passion that, we have some good fans over here of all of our sports, but it does not compare to that 27,000 seats being filled at Portman Road. I have never felt that kind of energy and that love. And then also, as a fan, when I watch football on TV, the camera is zoomed in, and you see the ball, the person with the ball, maybe one defender. You don't see the field. Well, all of a sudden, I'm sitting in the middle of the field, and I can see the chess pieces being moved around. I can see what they're trying to do, and that was a really beautiful way to finally understand, but to fall in love with the game, because you see the game within the game, what they're trying to do. And I could see the coach. Well, the Bolton coach was a little more animated and yelling at his players. Kieran is a very calm individual and would just talk. But, when Bolton went up by 1 off of what I still say is a bullshit penalty kick, that Leaf, I love Leaf, and I love that kid, that he's going to go so far. Yeah. But then you get down to that corner kick and just the set play that they set up, and Connor's kick was so I mean, I still remember every single thing about it and watching it go into the net. And then I went absolutely crazy. So it's probably a good thing they didn't allow drinks in the director's box, because I would have spilled it on everybody. I mean, I was just yelling and screaming, and it was truly just a great, ride that ended. I thought a tie game against Bolton was pretty good. That's a good team. And
they're a great team. They just smashed somebody today. We kind of said it the week after we were, this home crowd, 27,000 people. We feel that same energy. I would love to almost go back in time and experience it for the first time. And we were desperate for a win. We're a bit disappointed, but that they're going to be up there this season. So I think, looking back at the game, it was probably a fair result, actually. That atmosphere. But the first game of the season, I'm so glad that was a game that you got to watch, because there's something special about that. And I think there's something about having football taken away from us. And the same with you guys in the States. You're under the same conditions we were for years, and things get taken away. So you come back and they're still here, and it's so much more appreciated.
Yeah. When you lose thousands of hours of, nothing brings us together like sports. Nothing makes us, and this is something I talked to the players about. So I took them all the way back to 2001 when I was really sick and I couldn't see. And I loved the Arizona Diamondbacks. They won their one and only World Series in the fall of 2001. And my wife would turn the game on for me and let me listen during the playoffs and then during the World Series. And she'll tell you that when they won the World Series, that was the night that she knew that I was going to be okay. And I wanted to pass that on to the players of Ipswich Town. I said, listen, please don't ever forget, when you're out there, everybody in those stands, they're going through something. But for that 90 minutes, all they care about is you, and they're going to cheer for you. And you don't know what a difference you make for a very long period of time. I've had the blessed opportunities to meet a lot of those World Series players as they got older and retired, like Luis Gonzalez and Kurt Schilling and Randy Johnson. And that's what I always made sure to tell them, is like, listen, I'm glad you won the World Series. That's cool. And you're one of the greatest players in the country. Awesome. But what you do for us, don't ever lose sight of that, because it's pretty important. And that's kind of what I felt. And I think the players now feel that way as well. And that's what we were talking about after the Bolton game. I know it was disappointing. I know it was a 1-1 tie, but Bolton won 2 games last year against Ipswich. And if you really watch that game, I'd say about the last 60 minutes, Ipswich dominated that game. They completely dominated that game. Yeah. Yes, some shots on goal didn't go in, and yes, it resulted in a tie. But what they showed is, man, if they're going to play like that this year, it's going to be a really, really good season.
I could tell that is the hope, and we've had a lot of seasons where it hasn't been a good season. I really love what you said there about the kind of, because we spoke a bit earlier about the kind of the people that were around you when you're going through hell. It's maybe the only thing you can wish for is really good company, the people around you that can pull you out. But it's really interesting what you just said, which is something about what sport is. It's like your wife recognizing you, this little kind of sounded like a spark or something, that it was a sport game, something you love, where you kind of invest everything a part of yourself. Like you kind of almost leave your body, you leave your problems behind for that little period of time, and you become the game, you become the thing that you're watching. And isn't it funny? I know we say sport is what was the quote? Sport isn't life or death; it's much more important.
It's much more important. Football's not life or death; it's much more important than
that. Exactly.
I couldn't agree more. I don't think that's a cliche or a bad statement. It is very true, because you said it. You get wrapped up and you get lost in what you're going through, but it also brings us together. There's everybody in the stands. You have a team you choose for, or you cheer for. You have a team you boo for, which can be just as fun sometimes. But you're not worried about how much money this person has in the bank. You're not worried about who are crazy politicians or what what bad thing is going on in the world. You all care about the same thing, and that's what sports is very powerful.
Connection.
When you've got problems, Ben, when you go to the football, you go to sports, Jason, for that 90 minutes or however long you're there, you completely switch off. And it takes you. I've been going to town for years. We've got Colin in the chat. He's been watching town since in the 60s, and it means so much to us. And it means so much to us now that since we've had the takeover, and Ben will probably agree with this, and everyone agree with this, our football club has totally transformed and massively for the better. Before we had the takeover, Jason, the stadium was probably half full. Mark Ashton said, hasn't he, Ben, about when he came in, he was shocked about literally, it was like you'd had a house and we've done nothing to it. The windows were leaking, the carpet.
It's like anything, you leave something alone enough time, it disintegrates. And that's exactly how this club was set. If you would have come 3 years ago, my suspicion is that it would have been an extremely different experience for you. So you're right, Crunch, the Americans coming in and what they've done, and everybody has unanimously bought into it. And it's that kind of, I've always experienced America to kind of be like the kind of shining light of enthusiasm and can do and overcoming problems. And there's something about the energy it brings, which just vitalizes. And it's really tapped into something that was missing, I think, for a lot of years, and it's really interesting speaking to someone who not only doesn't know Ipswich, but kind of doesn't really know English football, has no experience of it. And you said that was one of the kind of really amazing kind of spectacles of your life. It's like, where the hell is this on the map? Who are these guys? Where has this energy come from? And it's brand new. It's 2 years old. Honestly, I'm so glad you got to experience that.
Yeah, and it felt like it has been there for 30 years. I mean, I would have not known that had you not told me that. And thank you so much. I'm very proud that everybody over there has been accepting of PSTRS being involved and Mark Steed. Mark Steed, he's a lot better looking than me, but he's very recognizable like I am. He's got the bald head and that long beard. He can't even walk down the street.
Awesome.
He can't even walk down he walks down the street and people know who he is. And I'm sitting there going, how do these people know you after, just a year and a half or 2 years? And he loves it, of course. He flew over for the game because it was his first home opener. And to experience just what they're doing now. And Mark Ashton pointed out to me, like, the big screen and how they're upgrading the field and, the size to put 27,000 fans and to think at one time there might've been 4,000 or 5,000, or to see another team, I'm going to watch some away games this year that there only will be 4,000 people in the stands. But I have no doubt this team, I don't know if it's next year. I don't know if it's 5 years from now, but they're going to go up to the Champions League. And I really believe in my heart they're going to end up in the Premier League. And the trajectory is straight up right now. And as long as the players are bought in, you've got Kieran and you got Mark Ashton. There's no looking back now.
And inside knowledge is great because you've just met all these guys. And you said, you said you love these guys, and that's the bit we kind of don't get to see. As fans, there's a natural separation, but maybe that's kind of also what's good at it. You kind of it's good to have a healthy separation, but you've kind of almost gone, behind the curtain almost, and you're telling us that you're really excited about what you see, which is a different perspective than what we see. So as me and Crunch, who are just mad fans, and it's a big part of our lives, that's so good to hear that it's kind of like we've sent you as the person to peek behind the curtain and you're reporting back saying, these guys are going to do good for you. You're going places. That's really awesome to hear.
Yeah. Well, and it means a lot more to me because, just like you're saying, I'm a fan over here of all kinds of sports. I love golf. I love Tiger Woods. I've never met Tiger Woods. I've never met Jack Nicklaus or any of these guys. I don't know the players on our Arizona Cardinals football team. I don't know most of the players on the Diamondbacks team. So there is that separation. And then you get caught up in somebody who might be a superstar, or you get caught up in, who's a tough guy, right? Like Sammy, for example. I had learned and read stories about Sammy before I got there. And I'm not going to lie, I was a little intimidated to go in and present my story, because I'm thinking, here's a professional football player who's who's very well known. He's got a reputation. He's Egyptian, and we talk now on social media, and I feel like I know him. And he said some things to me, privately, and he presented me with a gift of his own. And so, like, when I was cheering for him yesterday and yelling at him, through my computer screen, there was a difference. And these are just a group of guys, and they've all got their own adversity that they're going through. I mean, they're just people, and it was nice to be reminded of that as a fan, that they're not really bigger than us or bigger than the game. They're just doing the best they can. And some might go, again, somebody like Leaf, as young as he is and as good as he is, he might be at the top levels sooner than some others, and some people might finish their careers in League One, but it doesn't matter. If you're the best you could be, it's just great to know those guys and be able to call them by their first name.
There's a question in the chat, Jason, a little while back from Mike D. So you've met all these players. Who is your favourite player?
Oh, good question. I love that.
That is such an unfair question, because what if some players listening right now and I have to answer that? Man, they were all so. I wish you could understand. These players were allowed to leave after my talk. They had worked out all day at the training facility. They came over. They did not know why they were coming to Portman Road. Mark Ashton did not tell them. And then all of a sudden they show this crazy video about a guy being burned in a car fire. And I walk out on stage looking the way I do. And I know that they've gotten a lot of public speakers. And I talked to Kieran about when he was with Man United, they would bring in the best of the best public speakers. But all of these guys just sat there in complete silence, never breaking eye contact. After the game, they took me down on the pitch. They took pictures with me. They could have gone home to their families, and they spent an extra hour and a half. I can't begin to tell you collectively how much these guys meant to me. But I really don't want to really say a favorite, because they're all a little bit different. You have a guy like Sammy, right? But then you have a guy like Leaf, who's just a young kid. And the way they're going to communicate, the way they're going to see you and make you feel is going to have a little bit different. Like, when I was with Sammy, I was like, you know what, buddy, I would take you into any fight anywhere in this world. You could be my partner, guaranteed. And I got nothing to worry about. Then I could talk to somebody like Wes, who he made a huge impact on me. And John Jules, just incredible to talk to these people. One of the players has the same birthday I have. They just were sharing these things. And so I truly do. I'm not just saying this because it's the right thing to say on your show. I really love the whole team. I was humbled to be in front of Kieran. I do understand he's a big deal, and I could be a fangirl just like anybody. And he's a big deal. And and then Mark Ashton, I think your community knows, but what a humble, fun-loving guy, a husband, a father, and he cares. Well, first of all, he's incredibly smart, and he's been doing this for 30 years, but he loves this team, this organization, and he chose this. He could have chosen a bunch of other ones. He chose this one because it had all the right elements. And as you said, 2 years ago would have been a whole lot different, and now it is where it is. So you have something really special, I promise you. And I can say that because I did get a behind the scenes look. Yeah. I'm very lucky for that. But I almost wouldn't even want to be invited to speak to some other team, because it would never be the same. It would never.
Because you're a tractor boy now. That's it.
You're a tractor boy. The timing was perfect, and this was absolutely the right team. And I consider it. I've been a professional speaker for 12 years. I've got a whole bunch of speeches coming up in the next few months, and this was absolutely the number one thing I've ever done in my career.
What about the young players? Because obviously they're just making their way into the game. You've probably got 16, 17-year-olds. you could make you made a massive mark on obviously all the first team, but them young lads who are just sort of finding their way in the game.
That was I spoke to them on day 2, and it was just them. And again, the women's team was there, and some of the support staff for the academy. But that speech was a lot more quiet. They didn't laugh at certain times, because I have in 1 hour we're going to cry and we're going to laugh. We're going to have our emotions go everywhere.
Kind of like this hour, yeah, I can imagine.
But these younger kids were. They were very quiet and they were very stoic, and I wasn't sure if as I'm speaking, the words are coming out, but I still have my own thoughts and emotions, and I was thinking, man, maybe I'm not connecting with them, or maybe I'm a little tired because I gave everything I had yesterday to doing 2 speeches in one day, is a lot, and then here I am back at 9 o'clock in the morning doing a third, and then when it was over. Turns out they're the ones who asked the most questions, and I got the great fortune to go out later and have a meal with Kevin Mincher, who's the just has an incredible mind. He knows how to motivate, especially younger players, but he really opened my eyes to just how devastating COVID was. To go through it alone, and when you did it at a young age, and thankfully, I didn't have to. But I think they lost so many hours and so much time of being around people, knowing when it's okay to laugh and how to be social again. And they've got a lot to overcome. And so it was a very emotional thing actually to talk to the younger group, because when I get to see in a few years the ones that made it and the ones that might not. And I talked to people who were coming off surgery and didn't know if they would be able to play at that level again. I talked to some who were a little bit older and had just not, but they were still fighting and still trying. And I left that speech, I'd say, more emotional on the just understanding, hey, these kids have a lot of adversity to overcome right now. And I might have not understood that, or I might have taken that for granted a little bit. And then afterwards I got to understand, and I love it.
Yeah, I think that's empathy. What you've just described is it kind of sounds like you've just kind of imagined what it's like through their eyes, and knowing that, we talk about going through hard times here, and certainly, in your experience of what it is like to go through hard times, and what different people take out of that, and being allowed to be stoic, or being allowed to kind of suffer a little bit, to be sad, to be upset, to come bouncing back, maybe that kind of acceptance that everybody deals with the adversity. And in this case, you're saying it was the kind of what COVID took away from young people, which is a debt I still think hasn't even been paid yet. I don't think we haven't seen the end of that yet. But it's something about, again, not what the 10%, 90%. It's 10% what happens, and 90% now what do you do? What are the choices you can make, and how do you take what has happened and do something with it? And that's kind of sounds like certainly what I've listened to tonight. If those boys can be as inspired as I've been in the last hour, then I'm absolutely grateful that they got the opportunity to speak to you. And another great reason, another great thing that the Americans have kind of brought with them, which is the opportunity to talk to guys like you. And it's a funny thing that when you talk to people, and when you try and inspire as best you can, maybe there's a truth of you don't quite know what impact you're having on them in that moment, but you've got to hope that when you walk out of the room, something remains with them. And it kind of sounds like I can bet my ass that you've done that for them.
Well, I hope I left something for them to think about. For sure. I mean, that's the whole reason I do what I do, and I was able to share some stories that I think are very important, and they're in a position, the younger players, they're fighting for themselves, but they got to let other people fight for them, and they need to be blessed that they're in this organization, because they are gonna fight for them. They're gonna make sure that they have every opportunity to be the best that they can be. And eventually, you're right, it's gonna take a while to get out of the The debt has not been paid for what we went through, and we still don't even know how completely over it is, right?
I agree. Yeah,
hopefully we won't go back to that, but it's going to take a few years. And I'm grateful that I wasn't. I watched my son. My son is an athlete. My youngest, he plays baseball in college, and his recruiting process, his games getting canceled. We watched it all, and it was difficult to overcome that. And they're all the people. He's 19. They're all still dealing with it.
So formative years, and it must be quite hard for you as a dad to kind of see that. It's like, I know what it's like to go through my teens and have all the opportunities without them being ripped apart, and now I'm kind of seeing my son, and there's kind of nothing I can do about it, but I'm kind of acknowledging. That's
the key, is when you just sit there and you feel helpless. I can't fix this, I can't make it right, and that's all you want to do, especially as a dad. I mean, that's just inherent. That's what you want to do, and you can't. So, but you know what? He's blessed and doing great now. Just came off a great summer. We're going to move him back in a few weeks to his college, and I look forward to next spring and all his games. So it's going to be great.
When are you next coming to Portman Road? There's loads of people in the chat saying, when's Jason next coming to Portman Road? I want to know when you're going to come to an away game.
Well,
playoffs.
That was something about. I plan on coming back quite a bit, and
good.
I think my wife's probably listening right now, and I think she'd kill me if she knew this, but I want to go back like today. That's how much I loved it. And I told her she's got to go with me. Like, she's got to experience staying at the Salt House. She's got to see the marina. She's got to walk to Portman Road. She's got to see all the things I saw, and then just to walk to the town square and to go into one of those pubs. Just nothing like that town. I love it so much. So I promise I'm going to be back several times. I'm definitely going to go to an away game. I'll let Mark Ashton or maybe one of the players give me the keys to which one is the better one to go to, but I'll definitely be back. I promise. I was
kind of thinking here, one of us will give you a lift, because you'd probably just have thousands of people listening just fall in love with you. It's like, we'll give you a lift up there. But you can call Sam Morsey. You can call any player you want. I
don't know if Sammy would drive me, but he'll definitely say hi and chat with me. He's a fantastic individual, and I just want everybody to know who's listening. I think one of the first things I said when I got back was to my friends, I said, I renounced my American citizenship. I'm British now, so I don't know what to tell you guys. I loved it, and I promise you that was not a one-time thing for me. I'm going to come back as often as I can and be
most welcome.
Be very involved with this team. I consider them part of my family now, and it's just, again, nothing like what I experienced last week. It was the height of my career, and personally, it did a lot for me as well.
I'm really glad, and do you think that our club, our humble little club on the east coast of England, that most Americans have never heard of, could kind of leave that impression and make you feel welcome, is really, I feel really heartened by that, and I know Cruncher does as well, because we both love our club, and we love it when our club is at its best, and when it kind of brings into our lives people like you, and hopefully your wife and children one day. What a wonderful blessing, which kind of goes back to that sport bringing people together and providing opportunities that otherwise we probably wouldn't have had.
Yeah, I truly, I'm just so blessed, and I'm so grateful that I am the one who got this opportunity, because I did get to see and feel things that maybe other fans don't get to, but it made me a fan. And I wear my Ipswich hat every day. It's my permanent hat. I love when people ask me, what is that? And I can't wait to tell them all the stories. And, I'm hollering out things, about the Tractor Boys or things like that. And people are looking at me over here like, what the hell are you talking about? And I'm like, you know what? This means everything to me. And I can't thank you all enough. And everybody who's listening, the love that I felt and the support that I'm getting from over there, I had no idea. And I can't thank you enough, because it really does a lot for me.
I'll tell you something about England and Ipswich supporters in particular. It's because we recognise a good person when we see one, and that is why you're most welcome. I know we're coming towards kind of the end of that hour we said, and I know I'm kind of thinking about, you were saying something that's really true, which we all kind of go through our own thing, and some things seem difficult and impossible. And you kind of spoke to us about those moments where you said, I just don't know where to turn or what to do. And I know there's going to be a lot of listeners out there tonight who are in those dark places as well. Some that me and Crunch know about because they're our friends, they're our family, and probably a hell of a lot we don't. So I'm just kind of wondering, more than anything we could say, what would you say to someone who they're walking through hell right now? They don't think they can get out of where they are. If they sat next to you, what would you tell them?
I would tell them, first of all, you're not alone. Every single person that you meet, see, hear about, everybody is going through something. I promise you. And we shouldn't get into the habit of comparing our adversity to other people's. But the most important thing is to recognize, of all the differences in the world, the one thing that we are created equal on. Doesn't matter where you're from, your race, your age, your gender, how much money you have in the bank, our human spirit, we're all equal on that. And it's designed for one thing. It will take you away from risk and straight toward reward. So don't let the pain of today blind you from the promise of tomorrow.
Oof. Wonderful. I mean, wonderful.
I think that's a really good note to just before you go, Jason, do you want to give your book a plug where people can find it?
Burning Shield. Yeah, I ordered mine just before I come on the pod. It's on its way. So yeah.
Well, thank you. Next time over there, I'd be honored to sign it for you. Yeah,
please.
I'm terrible at self promotion, but yes, I have a book. It's called Burning Shield. It's available on Amazon. And it's something I'm very proud of. It took me 8 years and 3 authors to get this right. And the author, Landon Napoleon, he did an amazing job. He captured but he interviewed everybody, from my wife to my friends, to the firefighters, to the doctors. He put all their voices together to tell this story. And it's really beautifully written, and you'll learn everything about me that you care to know. It's a true autobiography of my entire story. And it is something I'm proud of. So if anybody wants to read it, and again, when I'm back over there, somebody stops me, it's truly an honor to
It'll be me and Crunch first in the queue.
I'd be happy to.
Jason, really good message there. It says it's from Jago David saying, I have tears in my eyes. Thank you very much. It's been difficult for me. Thank you very much for your wisdom. I just want to say, on behalf of myself, Ben, Martin, everyone at Talking Town, everyone in the chat, it's been an absolute honour to have you on. And I've reached out to you and you come back to me, and I'm so thankful that we've shared this, we've had 1 hour and 7 minutes, and it's just been absolutely fantastic to be sitting here listening to you.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate you both so much. You have no idea. And all your listeners, and I hope we meet in person very, very soon.
I really hope. I love that. And again, thank you so much. Humbled, and I could use any adjective, but I don't think they quite reflect how I actually feel right now. I'm going to be a dad for the first time in 5 months, right? And if I have half the strength and I'm half the dad you are, then I think my kids will be lucky, because I don't think I've ever heard anything quite like it, actually. If I'm going to go outside and have a drink and a smoke and just think, because I've never had a conversation like this. I don't have the words, but thank you so much for your time. You are amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I'm truly honored to be a part of Ipswich and to have this platform. You guys letting me answer some questions and share. Just and now I'm, it's still early over here. It's only a little after 12 p.m. I got the full day ahead of me, and I'm ready to run through a brick wall and just make the day better than it was. So I thank you guys for that.
You can come on anytime. I think Martin might be getting you. We do a show called the Matchday Ticket where we watch the game and then we chat about it afterwards. It'd be great.
That'd be so much fun. That would be
fantastic.
So much fun. I'll definitely be watching. I'll definitely be watching every game. So anytime, I would love. That'd be a lot of fun to talk about.
Awesome.
Anyway, thanks so much, Jason, and we will see everyone.
Thank
Martin, we'll see everyone tomorrow night back at 8:30 for Talking Town Extra Time. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks everyone in the chat. Thank you, Jason.
Okay,
thank you, Ben.
Thank
and
you.
We'll see you all soon.
You make me smile when I think of you. If I get down low and I am blue, I can't get enough. You make me happy, I feel so fine. Oh, how I wish that you were mine. I can't get enough. Hopeless lover. I woke up all soaked in sweat, weird chills running down my neck. I felt went crazy from just the thought of you.